it's Ron Brown with your Being Truly Well Minutes for today. I hope you had a blessed time with your family, or if you were alone, that you had time to meditate and focus on yourself on Thanksgiving. And I know I had a wonderful time with my family. I was able to see people that I truly love and care about, and I chose to tell them exactly what I thought about them. No, not like that. But tell them the love that I truly had for them, the respect, the admiration. They received it very well, which is great. My brother-in-law, Russ, somebody that is a truly wonderful man, I was able to tell him how blessed he was as a father, how amazing of a man, both in his career and in his personal life, and how he raised wonderful children. And he truly received that well, and he felt really good receiving that. And I was able to tell my father some wonderful things, how he's so generous and caring and giving. But he was, going to get an eye surgery coming up on December 5th, and kept him from going to his true passion. My dad has a true passion, which is wonderful, which is working at the church's food bank. And he feels guilty because he's not able to be there to lift things because he's not allowed to lift things. And I said to him that, Dad, you are able to receive love and not just give it. That when you give to someone, you need to receive back, or you're robbing them of that same privilege. And wonderful Dolly, his girlfriend, who's so wonderful, she's a blessing to me and a gift to my father. She said, exactly, I keep telling him that, So it was just amazing to have a good conversation. I actually left my dad's at 12 o'clock at night to drive back because we were having such a wonderful time together in true fellowship. I love it when there's genuine moments with people. So often in life we have what I call fluff time. Fluff time is when you talk about things that really don't mean a whole hill of beans. They're just filler conversations about news or events or sports or, not that sports don't have their place. If that's your calling, great. Go for it. But in the whole of time, they don't really mean anything. The things that matter are how you feel about someone else, how you trust your instinct inside and express it. I look at life as a tube of paint, and I've been very blessed to have some people who have been wonderful artists in my life. My nephew Ryan, for example, exceptionally talented person he's in college for his art to learn that as a career. But he has this deep passion within to paint, to create, to mold, to shape. He had this wonderful tribal mask that he had to do for a project, and he brought it into the house yesterday at my sister's house, and it was beautiful. It was beautifully done with colors and just wonderful. And he had this rose made out of a cement material that just looked wonderful. He pointed out a flaw, that there was something inside that was making the stems to keep its shape, and it kind of cracked a little bit. But he said, look at the rose. The rose is solid, and he showed how it was solid. But I look at life, not to digress, but I look at life as truly being like an artist. And we have this embryonic truth within us, and it needs to come out in order to be a gift to others as well as to ourselves. And so life is truly like, and our potential and our embryonic truth is kind of like a tube of paint. You know how paint comes in tubes and you take off the little cap on the end and you squeeze out the paint onto a palette that the brushes then get in there and mix around and even change with other colors and create the most beautiful things that can happen. But if the paint stays in the tube, it's merely a tube. It might as well be toothpaste. And we are here on this earth, I firmly believe this, that we are endowed by our Creator or by the universe, or if you believe by the computer that we are, if you don't believe in God, to fulfill that mission, to let it out at the appropriate time and in the way that we are called to help others. We are all one. We're truly connected to one another. The lives we touch on a daily basis, whether it be the waitress in the restaurant who pours your coffee and brings your eggs, or whether it's the child that you embrace and nurture as a parent, or whether it be the postman that comes out and truly brings you mail with a smile on his face or her face. You know, as you go Black Friday shopping and you see all these people in a store rushing around to grab things, take a moment to think, that's someone working in that store who has to restock their shelves and has to deal with customers wanting to get something they can't have. And yet they can do it with a smile sometimes. And next time someone looks a little overwhelmed, pull them aside and just say, hey, thank you for doing your job. I know we're all customers here grabbing things, but, thank you for doing a quality job. Because they're feeling inside. So remember that. Remember others. Remember as you paint the perfect picture of your life, of the things that are to unfold as a tube of paint. The way to get it out, you first start squeezing it. Kind of like toothpaste, people start to squeeze from the middle. But the true artist is usually someone who has a limited budget. And most of the time that's the case. If they're living their true passion, then they don't care about so much the finances as they are getting out what's within. So they'll roll the tube from the end. And as they do, they're getting each part of that paint in the right amount as it's supposed to come out. But it always comes out. For if you leave the paint cap unscrewed, it dries up and becomes crusty and keeps the flow from happening. But if you keep using the paint and put the cap on for a second, go back and get more, and let that beautiful picture unfold on a daily basis, then you will have a masterpiece, several masterpieces in your life, things you don't expect. It was so amazing in a conversation with my dad last night in Dolly. We were talking about how, I shared with my dad how I really respected him as a mailman when I was growing up, and how people would always give him Christmas gifts. He always had bottles of booze that people would give him and money, and my dad would sit there and receive that. He could receive money that came because of the mail route that he did. And I said, did you ever think, Dad, that the reason that you got so much money and so much things from people at Christmas time is because there was an outlet for people to appreciate the person you were. You weren't just the average mailman. I know he wasn't. I watched him in action. And people actually knew he cared, that he was a loving, caring, and nurturing person. And he always delivered the mail with a smile, no matter what was going on in his life. And I said, that's why you were able to prosper from that. And the same is true with his work with the food bank. Even though he cannot lift food during this time that he's getting this surgery again, he's still able to be part of it and to rest so that he can then go back and again share with them, to receive the love. People always love calling him Mr. Bill, and they come up to him and say, Mr. Bill, I'm so grateful for you. But the thing is, a hug requires arms to go both ways. So my father gives so much, so he's outstretching. But he's not allowing himself to receive. I mentioned this before. Don't worry about me. Worry about you. But he has to receive as well as give. So we talked about that in great detail last night, and I think he finally got the message. And I hope so, because he deserves so much love that he has not allowed himself to receive. That he's truly doing his life's calling with the church. He's an elder in the church. He counts the collection at each week. But he also works in the food bank, and that's his wonderful gift that he's done for years. Well, one last thing I want to talk about today. I want you to encourage yourself to get out your paint, take the cap off, Get that palette out. Start pouring that paint forward. There are two quotes I want to read you, and I know I'm trying not to be a quotey guy, because anybody can read quotes to you, but I want them to apply to what we're talking about. The one is from Napoleon Hill, and I talked about him a couple days back with a book called Think and Grow Rich. The one thing he said is, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire, and begin at once, whether you're ready or not, to put this plan into action. Why? We talked about this before. If you think about something and you wait, if you're laying on a beach and the sun is coming down and you're going, I wish this suntan lotion was on me so I don't burn, but you just lay there instead, what happens? Well, you become crab-like, a cooked crab with sunburn, because you didn't take the action step for reaching for that suntan lotion, putting it on yourself to give you what you need. So whether you're ready for action or not, take an action step toward it. You got to formulate what you want in life, what you desire. What's your mission? My dad knows his, and I'm so blessed to know that that's his calling. You know, you need to put in the steps in action to get there. Each day, take action steps. Write it down. Write the plan out, and write what's the first thing I need to do. Think about it, like we talked about with the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. You know, put in your steps. What's the first thing I need to do? I need to get the bread. I need to get the knife. I need to get the peanut butter. I need to get the jelly to make the sandwich so I can have what I desire. You need to do that for yourself. The other quote I want to give you today is one from John F. Kennedy. And this quote I've never heard from him before, but I found it on a website just today, and I really love it. I love Robert Kennedy. He's somebody who had a lot of great quotes, but John F. Kennedy had a few as well. This one says, there are costs and risks to a program of action, but there are far less than a long-range risks of cost of comfortable inaction. Let me read that one more time. There are costs and risks to a program of action, but there are far less than the long-range risks of costs of comfortable inaction. Sorry, I had a tongue twister there. I'll read it one last time, I promise. There are costs and risks to a program of action, but they are far less than the long-range risks and costs of comfortable inaction. Wow, when I read that, it gave me tingles through my whole body, because we become complacent in our lives. We become comfortable. And what happens is we feel like, taking no action, that's comfortable, but what happens in long time? What happens to a person who doesn't have action is they grow stagnant and stale, bitter, and trapped. You know, if a tree sits too long near a house, eventually vines crawl up that tree and strangle it. And first it feels like it's being embraced, but then it's being snuffed out and strangled. So inaction is very bad. So I choose to be, and I have been for over a month now, a person of action every day, taking action steps toward being connected with my embryonic truth in my action. I hope you're doing the same. This is Ron Brown for your Being Truly Well Minutes. Don't leave the paint in the tube, okay? Be truly well, and we'll see you tomorrow.